YouTubers, I'm glad you're all here. Thank you very much for joining me. I have pulled back from reporting the news because of the censoring that goes on with YouTube. But then I was thinking about the Bible, how the Bible says, be either hot or cold, but not lukewarm, or he'll spit you out of his mouth. So much that's going on in the world is definitely prophetic. Here we have the live map of what's currently going on in Ukraine. Ukraine calls for intensified sanctions on Iran after drone strikes. Evidently, Iran is supplying Russia with drones. Here on the Jerusalem Post, it says Iran to sell missiles to Russia, in addition to suicide drones. I don't know if any of this is true, but this is what they are reporting. On Friday, Ukrainian defense minister claimed that Russia was depleting its high-precision missile arsenal. Iran will sell surface-to-surface ballistic missiles to Russia for use in its war against Ukraine, in addition to its supply of drones. Western security officials said, according to a Washington Post report on Sunday morning. Iran is already preparing the first shipment for the deal, the Post says, which was finalized on September 18th. This would mark the first known time that Iran has sold missiles to Russia since the Ukraine-Russian war began. Now, this is what a Ukrainian official said. By using hundreds of high-precision missiles against civilian objects of Ukraine, the aggressor state reduces its ability to strike the military targets. Two conclusions. Russian military defeat is inevitable, and Russia is a terrorist state. They do have an image here, and it says part of an unmanned aerial vehicle, what Ukrainian military authorities described as an Iranian-made suicide drone, Henig 1336, which was shot down. Evidently, it was near the town of Kupiansk. Sorry for pronouncing that wrong. Also on the Jerusalem Post, they're evidently giving an app to civilians to put on their phone to help shoot down drones and missiles in Ukraine. The EPPO application is currently available for Android phones, and they're working to create a version for iOS, which is expected to be shipped within weeks. Ukraine has created an application for mobile devices that will help air defense units supplement radar information about air target to better the chances of taking it down. Now, this is according to Ukraine's Strategic Communications Department. Now, supposedly, if you see an air target, for example, a cruise missile or a suicide drone, all you need to do is open the EPPO on your smartphone, select the type of air target, point your smartphone in the direction of the target, and press the red button. I don't know how well that will work, and the delay, and some of these things fly really fast. Air defense specialists will see a mark on the map that will complement the radar information, and the threat will be shot down. Then on the Telegraph, I don't know what language this is in. It might be Russian, but they have an image about this new app. The ministry offered advice on how to recognize UAVs and protect yourself from these weapons. In particular, the suicide drone engine is loud. When approaching, the sound similar to the operation of a moped or chainsaw engine is heard in the air. When you hear the sound, try to get to a specifically equipped shelter. Use basements, basement floors of buildings, underground parking lot, passageways, or follow the two-wall rule, the ministry said. You should also not stay in any vehicle. Get out, run as far away from the road as possible, and try to locate a suitable shelter. Do not hide in entrances, under arches, on stairwells, in basements of panel buildings near automobile equipment, gas stations, etc., the Ministry of Reintegration stressed. Now, we know all these different countries are supplying weapons to each other. Medvedev, who used to be the president of Russia, is now saying that Israel arms shipments to Ukraine will destroy relationships with Russia. And there's an image of Dmitry Medvedev. Many of you might remember that open mic, bloop, when he was meeting with Obama and about what would happen after the elections and stuff like that. This too is part of prophecy, where we know that all these countries end up attacking Israel. Former President of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, said on Monday afternoon that Russia seems to be going to supply weapons to the Kiev region, calling it a reckless move that will ruin relations with Russia. Ever since the bridge connecting Donbass to Russia got blown up, Russia has really intensified bombing and is now targeting the capital and so many different areas of the infrastructure. This here is evidently an apartment complex that was hit. 3 people were killed. Excuse me, I guess it's been updated to 4 people. If they're using drones, why are they hitting civilian areas? I would think drones have the capability of seeing where they're going. I don't know. Evidently, it happened during the morning rush hour, and they were targeting infrastructures across the country. And this evidently is the second wave of airstrikes in a week. Reuters has images and videos of people running. This is an image here of one of the strikes. Ukrainian soldiers fired into the air, trying to shoot down the drones after blasts rocked central Kiev. An anti-aircraft rocket could be seen streaking into the morning sky, followed by an explosion in orange flames as residents raced to shelters. Reuters is saying a pregnant woman was among the 4 people killed in the attack on the residential building. Black smoke poured out of the windows of Kiev apartment building, and emergency service workers doused it with wire, trying to put out the flames. Evidently, people trying to get out of the apartment complex, it was hampered because the staircase was gone. Ukraine said the attacks were carried out by Iran-made suicide drones, which fly to the target and detonate. Russian Defense Ministry said it had carried out the massive attack on military targets and energy infrastructures using high-precision weapons. Now, Ukrainian ministry said it had destroyed 37 Russian drones since Sunday evening, or around 85% of those used in attacks. A drone attack hit the Every Marine Terminal in the southern port city of Mykolaiv on Sunday night, officials said, damaging sunflower storage tanks and setting aflame leaking oil. This is entirely civilian facility. There is no military, said a senior manager who declined to give his name. He said the attack was part of the Russian effort to destroy the economy and to destroy food security. Iran repeated on Monday its denial that it is supplying the drones to Russia. The Kremlin has not yet commented. And evidently, as of today, that nuclear power plant, where there's been a lot of shelling going on, it's once again offline. British military intelligence said on Monday, today, which is October 17th, Russia was facing a more acute logistical problems in southern Ukraine after a blast on October 8th caused damage to Russia's road and rail bridge to Crimea, the peninsula seized by Moscow in 2014. And the EU Foreign Ministry agreed on Monday to set up a mission to train some 15,000 Ukrainian troops for next month and to provide an extra 500 million euros worth of funding for arms delivery to Kiev. Now, this here is evidently a view of a administration building there in Donetsk. that was destroyed on October 16th. This is posted by Reuters. And an image of a Ukrainian soldier driving a captured Russian tank after being refitted for use in battle. This was evidently in the Kupiansk region. Yeah, I'm not going to try and pronounce it. The 15th of this month. Belarus is getting into the fight, evidently. They're sending over 400 Russian tanks, armored vehicles, and troops to help out with the fighting there with Russia against Ukraine. Another report of an explosion in Crimea. Yeah, blackouts. They've been asking the people to conserve electricity there in Kiev. Belarus Ministry of Defense says that about 170 tanks and 100 guns and motors will come to us from Russia. China is doing an evacuation of its citizens, an emergency evacuation. A lot of countries are doing emergency evacuations out of the country. They thought Kiev would be safe, and yeah, now they're leaving. On Yahoo News, they had an article about the iodine tablets. As you know, the government of many countries, and even here, is buying up the iodine, and supplies there in Europe and other places are getting really short. Potassium iodide, or Ki, offers specific protection against one kind of exposure. It prevents the thyroid, a hormone-producing gland in the neck, from picking up radioactive iodine, which can be released into the atmosphere after a nuclear accident. I bought some on Amazon. I think it was like $11. Oh, I was wrong. $9.50. You get 60 tablets, 30 milligrams each. And there's probably enough in here to last 10 days for an adult. And you would only take it once a day. The CDC has a page about potassium iodide, or K1. It says, do not take Ki, or K, I think it's Ki, not K1, unless instructed by public health or emergency responders or a healthcare provider. There are limits who should use Ki and how much it can help. It only protects the thyroid from radioactive iodine. It does not protect the other parts of the body from other types of radiation. Ki is recommended only for people under 40 and pregnant and breastfeeding people. I think it's going to be women, not people. Ki can have harmful health effects, especially if not needed or taken correctly. Ki is recommended as a medical countermeasure to protect the thyroid from radioactive iodine in people under 40 and pregnant or breastfeeding. This is because cells are still growing and multiplying more rapidly in younger population, so they can be at risk for developing thyroid cancer after breathing in radioactive iodine. Adults over 40 years old have a much lower risk of developing thyroid cancer and are more likely to have health conditions like problems with their thyroid that increases their risk for harmful health effects from Ki. However, officials or health providers may instruct adults over 40 to consume Ki if the predicted exposure is high enough to cause hypothyroidism. There are 2 U.S. FDA-approved forms of Ki, tablets in 2 strengths, 130 milligram and 65 milligrams. The tablets may be cut into smaller pieces for lower dosages. Then it goes into oral consumption. And then they have dosages. Infants, birth through 1 month. You can see what it is here. 0.25 millimeters of oral solution or fragments of a tablet, 1/4. Children 1 month through 3 years, a half of a tablet. I assume these are Yeah, 130 milligram tablets, okay? So you got to take that in consideration. Children over 3 through 12, they get a half a tablet, it looks like. Take one. Now this is just once a day. You only do it once a day. And then adolescents 12 through 18. Adults over 18 to 40. Oh, over here. Over here. Dosage. Yeah, okay. 16 milligrams, 32, 65, 65. Adults 130. Pregnant or lactating women 130, and adults over 30 130. One dose of KI offers protection for 24 hours. Officials will tell you if another dose is needed after 24 hours. Infants under 1 month have the highest risk of developing thyroid cancer from contamination with radioactive iodine. More than a single dose may lead to later problems with normal development. Other protective measures should be used in cases where more than one dose is necessary. Medical follow-up may be necessary. And then they got harmful health effects, which would stomach upset, rashes, inflammation of the salivatory glands, allergic reaction, hypothyroidism in infants less than 1 month old who receive more than one dose of KI. Hypothyroidism is a condition where the thyroid doesn't produce enough hormones. Severe illness or death in people who take more KI than recommended. The government evidently is stockpiling end plate. They evidently never have done this before. They ordered over $290 million worth of the drug that can be used to treat radiation sickness. This is for people who have been exposed to lethal doses of radiation. They've never done this before. It's evidently administered through IV, and it's got to be kept refrigerated, and it's only good for 18 months. If you're thinking about trying to get it for your own prepper supplies, well, you can't get it. Nplate is a prescription drug provided by California-based biotechnology company Amgen. This means it is not available to buy over the counter, according to Amgen. The drug is given by injection by a healthcare provider. Yeah, $290 million worth of this stuff. Amgen says the drug is intended to treat low blood platelet counts due to a condition known as immune, and I'm not going to try and pronounce it, and not for low platelet count caused by other conditions. However, HHS states that the drug is approved to treat cell injuries that accompany acute radiation syndrome in adults and children. While it has been available on the commercial market for some time, Amgen told Newsweek that this is the first time, the first time it has supplied Nplate to the government, which purchased it under the 2004 Protect BioShield Act. So they could have bought it years and years ago, all the way back to 2004, but now they only bought it for the first time, and you have to ask why. The purchase of the drug comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin has suggested that nuclear weapons are not off the table in the ongoing war in Ukraine. He declared he would use all available means to defend Russian territory during his speech on September 30th. And that would also probably include the recently 4 areas that he claimed to now own, which the UN and NATO and everyone else has said was illegal. Everyone knows that, or at least most people should know, that our blood is produced by our bone, and it goes into about the platelets that play an important role in blood clotting. A decrease in platelet numbers increase the risk of bleeding, which contributes to radiation toxicity. Therefore, increasing the number of platelets following radiation injury may provide beneficial effects. Acute radiation sickness occurs when a person's body is exposed to high doses of radiation that reaches the internal organs within seconds. This can cause impaired blood clotting due to low platelet counts and potentially life-threatening bleeding. In the private sector, Nplate in powder form for injection is $1,195 per 125 mcg. Anyways, that is not very many people that they're planning to use it for. So who would it be used for? Congress? Political figures? Soldiers on the battlefield?
$1,000,000 divided by $1,200 is approximately 241,666.6667.
There, so there, I had Alexa figure it out, but still, that's not a lot of people that would be able to have administered Nplate. Nplate can cause serious side effects, including the worsening of precancerous blood conditions to a blood cancer. I guess that would be like leukemia, and the higher risk of blood clots. So like I said, I normally don't cover news as much anymore because of the censoring that goes on. But I thought this was important. Anyways, what are your thoughts? Please put your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please stay safe. And I will talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.